Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the European Racing Series Tier 3 Test Day here at the British circuit of Silverstone. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words. I know this track, my favourite track on the calendar, or at least one of them. We're getting ready to go for qualifying 10 drivers in the lobby, and we'll be getting this underway, and of course the race to follow. Again, performance is important. Don't want to see anything dirty coming from drivers, otherwise they may be having their tier 3 spot in jeopardy. And of course, similarly, if you're too slow, potentially as well, you might be dropped. And if you're very quick, though, you may be knocked up into the tier 2 for season 5, I do believe. Um, in terms of pace that we're looking for, or in terms of pace that we're kind of expecting, I think anyone that gets into those 29s in qualifying will be doing a decent job. Remember, this is a tier 3, as we see Raggy binning it right out of the pits, coming through village corner. But yeah, again, so watch out. There will probably be incidents. You know, we are in the lowest of the 3 tiers, and we're going to be looking for, in qualifying, those maybe high 29s, low 30s. And I think in the race, we're probably going to be expecting to see high 31s as the kind of go-to pace. But yeah, as we mentioned, 10 drivers, so we might as well run through all of them. Braggy in the McLaren, Pashik in the Ferrari, Persian King in the Red Bull, St. Broth in the Mercedes, Zorro in the Williams, DePayne in the Red Bull, Pemi in the second of the McLaren, Zaki in the Renault, Silence in the second of the 2 Williams, and a Blank in the Alfa Romeo. The Silence is going to be one of the first drivers to begin his hot lap as he makes his way through Abbey Farm, and now get ready to break it right down into Village. Now make your way into the loop, down into second gear. You can get away with knocking it down into first, but Silence right on the power as he makes his way through Aintree on to the old back straight. Now, into Brooklands, drop it down into fourth gear, hold it nice and tight, release on the exit, and now down into second gear, pull it back in, the short shift up to third, but he gets on the power a bit too early, and as a result, he does run a bit wide onto the old start-finish straight. And now get yourself ready for Cops. You can take this completely flat, but Silence, he shifts down as well. Little trick actually to those of you guys who are watching at home. Heading into Cops, don't upshift into 7th gear, into 8th gear. Keep it in 7th on the entry. Silence makes his way through Chapel. Sorry, through Beckett's and through Chapel onto the Wellington straight. Now get ready for Stoke Corner. You can carry a lot of speed. Silence drops it down into 5th gear. Back on the power as Zorro sets a 27 through. So that's very, very quick from Zorro. But I think Silence will be a little bit off at that pace as he makes his way through Clubber Corner and across the line to set a 128.7. A lot more time on the cards there for Silence. And it will be interesting how much he can improve as we set on board with Raggy, who makes his way into Chapel now, and DRS opened onto Wellington straight. Sorry, onto the Hangar straight, pardon me. Wellington straight's on the entry into Brooklands through Stoke Corner, nice and clean. Raggy not abused that exit runoff, and sometimes do, but I do think there are penalties if drivers get caught out doing that. Again, I'm not entirely sure on that, as through Club Corner, Raggy with a 28.8. But what is Pashik able to do? He's the only driver who's on an hot lap at the moment. Uses as much curve as he can through Stoke Corner. Now get ready for Vale. Brake nice and late at around about that 70, 80 meter mark. Easy on the power, short shifting up into third. And now stretch through those revs as you make your way through Club. Across the line for a 128.0. But Zorro looking very quick. 6/10 up, and then you've got 4 drivers very close from second down to 5th. Just over a 10th separating the 4 of them. Then Persian King in a bit of a no man's land ahead of Silence and Raggy with he rounding up the order. We're still waiting for Pemi to set a lap, as I don't think anyone is on a hot lap right now. Pemi's still in the pits. Yeah, no one on a hot lap. So I guess we're in a bit of a quiet phase. But yeah, I mean, some tips to the track for those of you who are looking to the pacer around Silverstone. When you head into turn one, that's Abbey, and into hops, never upshift into 8th gear. Even if you're hitting that rev limiter, keep it in 7th all the way through, and it does save you, half a tenth to a tenth over the lap. So that's one big way you can gain time here at Silverstone. Just don't go into 8th if you don't have to, as just lose that little bit of speed, and then going through the corner as well, you lose a lot of drive. However, Pemi is on an hour lap. He's making his way through through Duffield right now. But yeah, the other corner really is Stowe. You can carry an insane amount of speed into Stowe corner, and just being able to trail brake through there, dropping it down into 5th gear, and right back on the power is the big plus if you can make that work. Maggotts and Beckett's as well, you see a lot of people losing time, and it's all about just being able to keep the wheels steady through there, carrying as much momentum as possible. As hey Carpaccio, how you doing, dude? It's for tuning in. Yeah, thanks. Comes from watching a lot of Velocity James's videos, all of the hot lap guides, and then spamming time trial laps, thinking, why am I not going any faster? Why am I 2 seconds off his pace? But here we go. Pemi's going to start a hot lap, so let's sit on a board with him as he makes his way into turn 1. And you can see Pemi using that trick, not going up into 8th, holds it in 7th as down into Village Corner. 3rd gear, back on the power, let the car all the way out wide, and then down, drop it down into 1st is ideal, and then short shift up all the way to 3rd. But Pemi gets back on the power nice and early. DRS open to make our way onto the Wellington straight. Now get ready to spot your braking into Brooklyn. It's really late, and Pemi's going to run wide, but he's going to pull it right back in for a late apex. And now into Luffield. You can really get away with a double apex here, and it's so useful. Easy on the power. Could have short shifted up to 3rd a little bit earlier just to abuse a bit more throttle. But heading now into Cops, little left from Pemi, that's okay. Sometimes, you just don't have that right angle, and you do have to lift. Into Maggotts, flat out, and now into Beckett's we go. Drops it down into 7th, now 6th, 5th, and back on the power on the exit. Maybe could have gone the power a little bit earlier. DRS is open, 104 flat. And this is looking like a fairly quick time. I'm going to guess we're looking at around the 28s flats as we go into Stowe corner, 5th gear, feathering the throttle on, and now bang on the power as you make your way down into Vale. Nice and light on the brakes. 2nd gear works in the race, but 3rd gear for qualifying is even better, just so you can abuse the power a bit more. Through Club Corner and across the line, 27.9. We predicted a 28-0, and we're right up there, but now that's 5 drivers so close together. So a good lap from Pemi, but the places that he can probably find a bit of time is coming through the loop here, just dropping it down into 1st temporarily, just to get that front end to bite a little bit more, to turn in slightly better, and then short shift up through the gears. Let's see how Blanks takes this, as he has a massive moment. A bit of a lag possibly setting in there, and I think hopefully it's not us, the ones that are lagging, as it may very well be, and then I think everyone might be upset that the host has a lag issue. But yeah, dropping it down into 1st and taking Cops flat out. If you can get Cops flat out, it saves you like 2-3 tenths is ridiculous, and to do it, you just have to let's see if we can ride on board with anyone going into Cops, so I can show you what I mean. Silence, he's 4 tenths down on his quickest lap so far. Comes out through Luffield. Let's see if he is one that can take Cops flat out. Again, you have to use all of the track. Even go onto the grasses, little left downshift as well into 7. That will cost him ever so slightly. Persian King, he's on a hot lap down into 3rd gear through Village. second gear through the loop. It's just a bit of a safer way to take it, I guess. Back on the power onto the Wellington straight. Don't forget, guys, if there's anyone you want me to ride on board with, if we've got, you know, lots of fans of one driver, do let me know, and I'll try to give them a little bit of extra coverage. Persian King, though, making his way through Lovefield, snaps on the power and gets a massive snap of oversteer on the exit as onto the old start finish straight. This lap is still recoverable into Cobbs, a little left, and again, it's all about being brave if you want to be able to find that ultimate lap. Into Maggots flat out and now down into Beckett. He has a massive loss of the rear end. And that is his lap done. Again, you can use a lot of run quite a low off a throttle differential. And that's just what means that that back end will snap out while you're lifting off or under braking as well. Because that wasn't the rear end locking up. That was purely on the differential. As key into Maggots. You can tell that he's using a controller, just the wheel movements being a little bit aggressive here, and that's why, you know, you just have to be a little bit careful in those situations, Max and Beckett, as opposed to if you were on a wheel. Whereas sometimes the advantages that you find with the controller is you get better traction out of certain corners, as the way the input with the throttle works is quite different. Let's see if we can ride on board with anyone who's still on a lap. The Pain, he's backing off a lap right now, and actually he has pipped Zorro for first place, so 1/10 down, and then we've got 4 drivers separated by that 1/10 of a second from Pemi down to Pasek, with Silence in 7th, Raggy in 8th, and a further second down in 10th place, as Persian has been disqualified. We've only got 5 minutes left, so enough time for everyone to get a hot lap in, one more lap in. Let's sit on board with Blank. He's getting ready to start a hot lap now. Again, on the outlap, let's see where Silence is on track. So he's further back, so I think sitting on board with Blank is the right choice for now. Everyone going up for these softer tires, except for Raggy. He's done his best on a set of medium, so on the alternate strategy, that will helping him out a lot in the race, and from mediums to softs can be almost second. I'd say about 7/10 maybe. So he'd be right up there in that battle that goes all the way up to third if he had the softs on. But Blank comes through the final corner to start another hot lap right onto the power. Let's see if he runs it up into 8th gear. No, flat out through turn 1 of Abbey Farm, and now drop it down into 3rd gear for Village. Back on the power, short shifts up to 4th, and now drops it down into 2nd. Back on the power, let the car out, and now really stretch out those revs as you watch for that back end stepping out. But it's looked like a decent sector 1 from a Blank so far. Let's see if it's an improvement. Very slight improvement as we enter Brooklands. It's a decent line, and now look for that double apex to let the car out wide in the 3rd gear. Back on the power, gets a decent run through the corner as well, and this is looking like a very quick and tidy lap from Blank so far. But this is where you can really make or break a lap, and there we go, Blank flat out, and he keeps it within the track boundaries as well. So that is absolutely inch perfect there from Blank, as he actually drops it down into 7th gear through Maggots, now down into 5th through Chapel we go. DRS open and on to the Hanger straight. Get ready for Stowe corner. You can brake so late down into 5th gear, trail braking all the way and straight back on the power as early as he can. But Blank, he's going to come into the pit, so I'm not sure if he invalidated his lap time, but that's a big shame for him, because that lap was looking very, very solid. We're going to ride on board with Pemi. He's currently sitting in 3rd place. He's going to be starting his hot lap now. Won't have time to get in the pits, put on a fresh set of boots for another lap. He has to make this lap count as we make our way through Club Corner to start his hot lap. We get a reminder that 27.975 is his best lap. flat out through Abbey and Farmer, now down into Village. Third gear, let the car out. Now pull it all the way over to the right and drop it down into second gear. No one seems to like a first here tonight, but right back on the power onto the Wellington straight. DRS are flat open. Now get ready for Brooklands. How late do you brake? Almost 50 meters. Super late on the brakes from Pemi. Down into fourth gear. Now double down shift into second temporarily. Back up to third with a short shift to prevent that back end from stepping out as you make your way onto the old start finish straight. And again, this is where bravery comes in. Will he take it flat? Oh, a quick lift, and he ends up understeering a little bit wide as well. So that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Into Maggots we go, perfectly flat. And now down into Beckett's, but he runs really wide. Has to slow it right down on the apex through Chapel. And that's the back end gone. And here's our lap done. Who else is on a hot lap? Saint Broth. He's actually 3/10 up right now. So he's looking for quite a quick 27.6 at the moment as he makes his way down into Village and now through Club Corner. Back on the power. Be careful with that back end from stepping out and across the line for a 27.6. And that will be a third place. Silence making his way out, but he will not get round in time to start a hot lap. What about Key? This lap is not looking pretty fast, and this is going to be a 29.8, 1/10 down on his personal best. Draggy's on an out lap, but Silence is on an out lap as well. Let's sit on board with Mr. Raggy. He looks to start his first? I believe it's his second hot lap, but he is on these medium tires. His fastest lap so far has been on the soft, so let's see if he can find a bit of pace on these mediums and maybe jump ahead of Silence in 7th place. 8th gear for Raggy again, doesn't know that a little trick. 3rd gear through the right-hand hairpin and now down into the left-hand hairpin. 2nd gear back on the power, up through the gear. That's a bit of a twitch with the back end. DRS open and now onto the Wellington straight. Get ready for Brooklands. How late will he brake? Nice and late, 50 meters. Now pull it all the way back across, down to 4th gear and into Luffield. Drops it down into 3rd. It should go into 2nd. You can just get that little bit of extra turn in when you do use those down shifts. As we have finished qualifying, as Raggy almost holds it flat, but the lift at the end will compromise him. And being in 8th gear as well, slightly less drive, but flat out through Maggots and now into Beckett's. Drops it down into 5th gear. Back on the power, open up the DRS onto the hanger straight. And once again, just to get ready for Stowe corner, get ready to carry as much speed as possible. Drops it down into 5th gear, right back on the power, although he's a little bit tentative with it. And now 100-meter board, slow it right down into 3rd gear, take a little bit off the curb, and back on the power. Bit of understeer through Club Corner, but it shouldn't cost him too much. And across the line for a 28.3. However, Blank, he's looking quick. He's a 3/10 up on his lap, and he's going to be right up there with St. Brothers. Zorro goes fastest with a 26.9, so that's a very quick time from the Williams driver. But Blank coming around the final couple of corners. The Pain has gone faster, and that's a 27.3 from Zorro. I apologize for not catching those laps. I saw the out lap sign, and I thought that they weren't on a hot lap and had missed the checker flag, so I do really apologize for that. But the Pain takes a pole by 0.04 of a second over Zorro. Blank in 3rd, St. Broth in 4th, and then Pemi in 5th with a 27.9 as Pasic just under a 10th behind in 6th. Raggy takes 7th, but he is on those medium tires, so he's going to be right up there in the fight for 4th, maybe 3rd as well, with a Silence sitting in 8th place, and Key in 9th. Persian King rounding out the grid in place. Right, so now the moment we're waiting for. Did we actually remember to put the formation lap setting on? I'm pretty sure we did, so that should all be good. If we didn't, though, we're going to have some very angry drivers messaging us in just a short space of time. As I'm just going to make sure I've got my team up on my screen just in case, because sometimes drivers disconnect and want to get an invite back to the lobby. So just have that up. Just a notification pops up. Everything is currently good for me. But here we go. Onto the formation lap we go, and let's just get all of our nice little details up and running. For some reason we can't change camera. Okay, that's a first, being unable to change the camera view entirely. But let me know, guys, in the chat, who do you guys think is going to be able to pick up the win? It's looking very close between DePayne and Zorro, and Blank might be in a little bit of no man's land. In the battle for fourth, you've got St. Broth, Pemi Pasic, very close together, but Raggy is starting on those medium set of tires, so that could have a pretty big impact on the race. The alternate strategy is that little bit faster as Overspeed joins the lobby. He's going to be starting from the back of the grid in 11th with a fresh set of soft tires. Interesting that he hasn't gone for the mediums. It always surprises me how much people dislike actually going for that alternate strategy, especially when they have the free tire choice. Again, though, it could really work out for Overspeed if he is very quick. Because if he is quick, then essentially he can work his way through the pack a little bit quicker than if he was on those medium tires. So that's the only situation you'd go for softs over medium starting in 11th. If you just think, okay, I'm going to be able to get past everyone quickly, and I want to make sure I do that as quickly as possible without anyone having a chance to come back. Right, so we've got some Zorro predictions, and then we've got an Overspeed prediction. Yeah, I do agree. I think the medium tires is the better shout, even if you're starting behind. Again, you can just sit behind. You'll pick up positions anyway if you are quicker than everyone else. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen, as I don't know why we are seeing his driver view, but away we go for the British Grand Prix, and it's a really good start from Zorro. He's going to look for the inside, down into Abbey, side by side, and that's DePayne who's going to get forced off wide. He will cut through the course, and he will come out in first, but Zorro will take the position. Now he has to fend off the Merc of St. Broth, who will take a third place, and should get a decent run out of the loop, but we are seeing the Alfa Romeo of Pasic and Blank side by side on the Wellington straight, and Blank might be able to have a little go into Brooklands, but he'll back out of it. But there's almost contact as Pasic holds on to fourth with Pemi down in sixth place. But your bigger losers, Raggy and Kia, losing 3 and 2 places down to 10th and 11th. But Overspeed, he's got a good start. Now he's looking down the inside through the King of Woodcut, and Overspeed should be able to pick up the position into Stowe. But how brave is he? Not brave enough, because he's not quite alongside. A Silence runs wide, and now we might be seeing some side-by-side shenanigans into Maggots and Beckett's. But Overspeed, he knows better than that, and he will back out of the move. Up ahead, though, look how close the three-way battle is for third place. Blank gets a fantastic run out of Chapel, but he's just a bit too far back. Pasic has got the slipstream, who has a little look, but decides against it. Will run a bit wide on exit, and Blank will get the better of runs. Could potentially look for a dive bomb into Vale, and he will go in down into second gear, but Blank holds the outside. Pasic holds the outside, and now Blank with the cutback, not quite enough to be able to get a better drive. But Blank holds on to fifth place, and the battle for third place continues. Let's just sit on board with Overspeed, who's right on the back of Silence, and this battle all down the inside into the loop. That is brave from Overspeed, but he makes it work, and that's what matters. However, Silence will get the better runner through Aintree, and now will move over to the inside. Overspeed not quick enough to guard that angle. Overspeed around the outside into Brooklands. Oh, he'll go on the grass. He'll go sideways. As up ahead we see Blank doing practically the same thing, and on cold tires, Overspeed not finding the grip on the outside into Brooklands. It is super slippy there, and Overspeed finds that out the hard way. However, it is still Zorro who leads from Depayne, with St. Broth in a third place. And crucially, Zorro has over a second gap as we make our way towards the end of a lap 2. DRS will be getting enabled, and that pardon me, St. Broth actually very low on that ERS, down to 8%, so he's really going to be getting hunted down by Pashik here. In fact, I think Pashik should be able to pick up this position pretty easily, as the back end stepping out under brake. He might need to shift that brake bias up just a tad. 7/10 down as Blank, very close to Pemi. We saw Overspeed looking for a dive bomb in Sector 1 as Blank goes on the curb, gets a bit of a lockup, bit of a snap of oversteer mid-corner as he makes his way through loop, really pushing on the throttle, but he will have DRS, and Pemi has none. He could potentially have that look into Brooklands, but he's just too far back to make it work. A lockup as well. Up ahead, we're seeing the Ferrari getting very close to St. Broth, and just look at that ERS difference in Plastic. Going to use up a fair bit of it. Probably will save most of it for the hanger straight, as little dip on the brakes there, and as a result, Plastic gets a better run through. In the race, you do lift or use a little downshift as well, just to get that front end to turn in, and it is better than trying to risk it taking it flat, especially with strict corner cutting enabled. But Pashik, pardon me, has a DRS. Looks to the outside of St. Broth, will cover the inside into Stowe corner, and easy as you like, just more ERS, DRS as well, and it's an easy job as Hemi will lose the position to Blank, as Raggy really struggling at the back. And as we just take a look for tyres, yes, Raggy has made a stop, so he must have picked up some front wing damage or had a spin on the last lap. However, St. Broth, I'm surprised he's just used so much ERS here. However, Depayne is now keeping that gap to Zorro, and it's stabilized at just over a second. And maybe if Depayne, he's got a lot of ERS, but so does Zorro. If he can just absolutely bang out a lap, use like 50% ERS for one lap, he will be back within that 1 second zone, and then he can save up a bit of ERS while just sticking to Zorro. But we're focusing on this battle for third at the moment, with now St. Broth in fourth behind Pashik. He can use the slipstream and DRS just to stick with Pashik a little bit more and save up some ERS, especially on the DRS straights, as St. Broth downshifts into 6th gear through Copse corner, but you can see Pashik pulling away, trying to use as much of this ERS as possible, down to 65%. He was at about 80 before. St. Broth takes as much curb as possible through Beckett. And St. Broth does have a DRS. He'll open up that flat in mode 5 as well. And that's another little trick that I've been getting told by some of the esports drivers, that when you're in 7th, 8th gear, you don't want to be mode 5. It's actually quicker to be in mode 4. And it sounds really weird, and I still barely believe it. But hey, that's what they say. So I'll go with that. However, St. Broth is trying to stick, but again, he's just using so much ERS to be able to stay within that range, as he runs really late on the brakes down into a village. Will be able to stay close, but he has to be careful because a Blank is closing in, and we'll keep an eye on that gap from 4th down to 5th, currently at 2.5 seconds. It looks like we might be having a bit of a battle for 7th place, with Persian King getting closed in by Silence and Overspeed. Speaking of that battle, as we take a look at Overspeed, Raggy sets a fast lap of a race of over 31.2. And as I think we mentioned before the race, you know, those fastest laps will be around the 30s. But Overspeed, Gonna have a go at Silence, maybe into Cobbs. He's looking for it down the inside. Mercedes on Williams, and Overspeed gets the move done this time, but Silence is right on his tail, forced to back out so that he doesn't run into the back of Overspeed. It's Silence who has the Overspeed heading into the worm here as Overspeed gets really sideways on exit, just pushing too hard, and Overspeed, he has a pace, but he's just inconsistent, pushing it too hard, and as a result, he makes a move work, and then he throws it down the gutter almost instantaneously. But Overspeed on the back of Silence as we make our way down into Vale. He's too far back, and up ahead you can see Persian King on the tail of Pemi, who I believe has made a mistake. There's a yellow flag as something's happened to Key. As we make our way down the order, look how close Overspeed is. He's forced to lift off into Cop so he doesn't run into the back of Silence. Could have a look down into a Village, and he will have a go. Silence does leave a room, but now with a compromised line, Overspeed actually is going to try to do this round the outside of the loop, and he makes it work. What a fantastic move by the Mercedes driver. Now up ahead, Persian King is closer to Pemi. He's not going to be able to make anything work into Brooklyn, so I want to take a look up ahead. Stainbroth, 17% ERS, Pashik on 60. So Stainbroth is starting to save up a little bit of ERS as he runs really wide through Cops, and he gets a little bit sideways as well. So that will cost him just a tad. But Persian King, and I think Pemi might be starting to struggle with a bit of wear on his tires. Again, we've seen him go sideways a few times, so maybe those tires are a little bit overheated, and they're coming out of a Chapel Corner. Persian King is within that DRS range, but not quite close enough to make anything work into Stowe. He'll just hold on to 7th place for now as he continues to hunt down the McLaren. And at the back, Raggy has been able to find a move onto Key. We saw him spin, so he would have had those overheated tires. The gap at the lead is still 1.3 seconds, as that's a Broth going sideways. He makes a really, really good catch, but those are going to be some seriously overheated tires. The question is, how badly overheated are they? Let's just ride on board, see how careful he is with the power. Okay, I think the tires are fine. Judging by how much power he put on the exit of that. So thankfully he won't have to come in the pits, but getting really sideways, and that's going through farm. So I'm not quite sure what he's done. Maybe he went a bit wide through Abbey, touched the grass, and then tried to keep it flat, and as a result went sideways. But that's a shame for Saint Broth, who's now 3.5 seconds down on Blank. He was in 3rd place. But there you have it, and he was just, I think maybe Pashik just putting the pressure on, and St. Broth just trying to stay close. Actually, it was Blank who was trying to stay close, and now he's fallen 2.5 seconds back, so not quite sure what's going on there. But here we go, Pemi is on the tail of Persian King, and he's going to go look to the outside as we head down into Stowe. How late will he go on the brakes? Fairly late, and he'll sweep around the outside to claim a 6th position. But Persian King's not done yet, and he's going to look for the inside down into Vale. Pemi will leave room, but Persian King could look for the old switcheroo, and Pemi just squeezes Persian just a little bit wide to reclaim a 6th place. And look who's joining the fun. Overspeed side by side into turn 1, and Overspeed will make the move work up into 7th place. And now he can look to hunt down the McLaren of Pemi. Now, Overspeed does have DRS, which will prevent Persian King from being able to have a go into Brooklands. If Overspeed can get a really good drive through Luffield, maybe he could have a go on the exit of Cops, and it doesn't look like he gets a fairly good drive. Persian King actually dropping a little bit off this battle as Pemi makes his way into Cops. So let's ride on board with Overspeed to see if he gets a better exit. It is fairly better, but it's all about Maggots and Beckett's. How much of a better exit can he get through this sector of corners? is looking quicker, and Pemi actually really wide on the exit. That's going to compromise him. Overspeed opens up the rear flap, and I don't think there's going to be anything Pemi can do. Around the outside, Overspeed picks up the position. Both drivers down pretty low on that ERS department, and Overspeed can see his Mercedes teammate of St. Broth up ahead. Persian King picks up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. 10 laps are done almost on the set of tyres, so he should be able to do 17 on the mediums, as the one-stop strategies will be coming in. Raggy will have to see maybe if he can find another 5 laps. He could go on to another set of soft tyres to the end of the race, as he put those soft tyres on, what, lap 2, lap 3. Persian King drops behind Raggy, and he'll drop out behind Key as well, as this track has one of the longest pit straights around. And actually, Persian King falls behind here, but I'm sure he'll get past fairly quickly. Pemi close to overspeed, but nothing going to happen there, as Persian King right on the tail of Key as he makes his way through Aintree. ERS will open, and Persian King should be able to do it this time. No, he's a little bit too far back, and he'll spot in behind, but the points are right there for the taking. Don't forget, Persian King, actually, he's going to have a look round the outside. Could he look for the cutback? He'll have a go, but instead he looked for the outside and just wasn't alongside, so Key was able to squeeze him that little bit wide. Those are the top 3 diving into the pit. Persian King, oh, just getting a little bit sideways in the dirty air. Battle for 10th place continues, and it is a matter of when, not if, for Persian King, is right on the tail. In fact, already side by side on the exit of Chapel. Persian King will slot in. DRS open. There's a bit of contact between the two of them, as he might have squeezed Persian a little bit too hard, but Persian around the outside into Stowe corner will pick up the position. Meanwhile, up ahead, Pashik very close to Depayne, so he's had a good stop, and I'm not sure if while Pashik while Depayne pitted, he lost some time. It could have been possible if other people were pitting around him, but I don't think it was the case. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2, as that's Pemi retiring. And I think Silence might have been caught out in this incident as well. And yeah, so it's through cops. Depayne, I'm not quite sure what's happened, but contact between Pemi and Silence, I'm fairly certain, as Pasic closing in onto Depayne, and you can see Silence up ahead. Oh, there's almost contact, and there is contact as well, as Pasic will pick up the position onto Depayne, as Silence, I don't really think there's too much more he could have done, and I think that one is on Depayne there, but again, we'd have to take another look at it to be certain, and Silence will be diving into the pits this lap, and we're seeing a Blank and St. Broth coming out as well right now, as Zorro reclaims the lead of the race. However, Depayne could have a look down into Village. He's a little bit too far back, but Pashik leaves the door open just in case, but now he's got a compromised runner through the loop. Depayne should get a decent run. We'll have a DRS as well, and I don't know if Pashik can defend this one, as Depayne will look to the inside into Brooklands, and he'll make it work. Now, the interesting thing here is Pashik, he's got soft tires on the car, but apparently he has mediums according to the info screen on the left. So I'm not quite sure what is actually going on here. I would assume that he is on mediums and that it is a bug with the tires. I mean, with the visual of the tires we're seeing on the car. Actually, I'm not sure. One way we can check is to do this. they have all stopped at once. So, yeah, I guess Pasic is on a new set of tyres. As here we go, down into Stowe corner, these two having a proper little ding-dong battle. And Pasic down the inside, there's a little bit of contact between the two of them. But they're still side by side, heading down now into Vale as Depayne could have a little look. Pasic runs wide, and now Depayne will get a better drive on the exit. And he'll tuck right in behind the Ferrari. Could have a look into turn one, but he'll opt for the outside instead. And that was a risky way to go. There wasn't any room there at all. And Depayne only compromises himself, but he's still within striking distance. All of this, though, is working into our Blank's favor, who is now right on the back of this train. And I don't know if he'll have a DRS this time around. No, he won't, but he will have it next time around. And don't forget, Overspeed setting the fastest lap of the race. He is closing in onto this battle as well. Depayne within striking distances. Let's take a look down behind. St. Broth is close to Overspeed. Remember, St. Broth had that issue where he went really sideways through turns 1 and 2, but I think Overspeed has just overtaken him to pick up a 12th place. As up ahead, oh, Depayne's retired, and you can see him there on the exit of Cop. So Depayne has tried to go side by side with Pasic. We saw him going for some rather odd overtaking angles, and as a result, he's gone wide and into the wall, and that's one of the Red Bulls out. That's going to make Pasic's life a little bit easier, and hopefully none of these two have lost their front wings. So, shame we don't have a replay cam, but it is what it is. Zoro continues to lead the way. 8 seconds in front of Pasic, with Blank rounding out the top 3 as Overspeed and St. Broth are 4th and 5th. Overspeed needs to catch about 7 seconds in 13 laps, which I don't know if that's possible. St. Broth sets a new fast lap of the race, so he's closing in onto Overspeed, but let's just keep an eye on how that gap between Overspeed and Blank changes over the upcoming lap. As Raggy is into the pits, and he's going to be putting on a set of medium tires. So let's see where he will feed out. He should be coming out between Silence and Key. In fact, he's going to come out in front of Silence, 15 seconds down on Persian. So it looks like this might be his final resting place in 7th position, unless he can gain about a second a lap over Persian, which is going to be a big ask. Blank half second down on Pasic, and Overspeed and St. Broth really want these two to be battling as hard as they can, as the Overspeed pulling away a little bit from St. Broth right on that bubble of the 1 second gap, and actually 31-0 from Blank. Let's see what Overspeed is able to do. And in fact, he's gone 4/10 slower, so I think he's too far back to join in this battle for 2nd place. Well, as Blank has a bit of a moment with the back end coming out of the loop. So we've got this 2-way battle for 2nd, a 2-way battle for 4th, and maybe we'll see Silence and Raggy battling it out for 7th place. ERS for Blank, 57 for Pasic, and down behind Overspeed has 19 with St. Broth on 35. So fairly even in the DRS departments, slight advantages for the drivers behind. Actually, sorry, Pasic has more DRS though. But there we go, Blank a little bit too far back to have a look down into Stowe corner, and he will have to back out of the move. What about St. Broth? Again, too far behind, and we'll try to keep an eye on the gap between Raggy and Silence, currently at 1.7 seconds. And the gap between blank and overspeed is increasing with every lap as well. Bit of under rotation on that front right tire, but blank is close to Pashek, and maybe he could have a go into Brooklands, but he doesn't get the best of runs. Let's see if he can have a little look. Anyway, Pashek tries to break the slipstream, but doesn't matter. He's gonna be uncontested into Brooklands. What about down here? St. Broth is very close, and he'll look to the inside, and he'll pick up the position as well. Is there any way Overspeed can contest? No, he cannot. He'll take a really wide line heading into Luffield. A little bit too wide, and he'll lose a bit too much time to St. Broth here. Now the question is, does St. Broth have more pace than Overspeed? Can he pull away? The St. Broth runs wide through Cop's corner, and that's just going to give Overspeed a good shot heading into Stowe. But up ahead, Blank's having a shot at Pashik, and he'll look to the outside. Alpha versus Ferrari, and Blank sweeps round the outside to pick up second place. Meanwhile, behind Overspeed on the tail of St. Broth, not using any ERS as well, so he's happy just to sit behind for a lap. Wants to save up some ERS so that he can make a move work and then really push for a lap and ensure that St. Broth can't stay within that 1 second gap. Blank set a new fastest lap though, pardon me. Mazzoro has been practically untouchable. We saw him close with the pain in qualifying, but they had a little bit of a skirmish at the start of the race, but after about 3-4 laps, Zorro just checked out. Now, Overspeed has made a little bit of a mistake, I feel, as he's dropped almost a second back on St. Broth. Maybe just saving a bit too much ERS through Sector 1. Silence, actually, he's lost a lot of time to Raggy. He's 4.7 seconds down, so he's lost 3 seconds in about 2-3 laps, I feel. Now, Pashik picks up a time penalty. I haven't been keeping record of all of the penalties that have been coming through, which is something that I usually do. But St. Broth runs really wide through Cop's corner. And Overspeed, you can see, not using any ERS at all. Downshifts actually through Maggots, keeping it nice and calm as he makes his way through Beckett's corner. The DRS flap will open. Up ahead though, Pashik is still behind Blank. And Overspeed, he's content, just sitting behind on the straights. 0 ERS, saving as much energy as he can as St. Broth uses up that ERS to try to stay ahead. Blank sets another fastest lap of the race, so he's feeling very comfortable trying to pull away as big of a gap to Pashik as he can. Overspeed closing in onto St. Broth again. That about 100% ERS here, so this is a bit where he should knock it up into a really high mode and have it go, but he might just wait for the hanger straight to have a go. It'd be funny if I'm saying all of this and there was just an issue with his ERS. But yeah, he should be he's starting to use some ERS now. But he's falling really far behind the St. Brothers. Oh, that's a great line from Overspeed turn 1. And he is closing in onto St. Broth, but is a little bit further back than he would like it to be. As up ahead, Pashik and Blank. Pashik having a go and will make it work around the outside of Stowe, but Blank is not done yet. And he'll take a look around the outside into Avail. He picks up the position, but Pashik with the cutback. Oh, he loses the back end, and that's him sideways now. St. Broth and Overspeed. Overspeed down the inside. Will pick up the position. St. Broth won't get the better run either. There's a yellow flag, and Overspeed, his eyes are going to be lighting up. In fact, he's 4 seconds down, so remember they were 7 seconds back. These two have been losing so much time to Blank and Pashik over the previous few laps, but Overspeed now 3 and a bit seconds down on Pashik, and he can see him up ahead, and that might just give him that you know, enough of a mental edge, pardon me, to be able to close him down. 2.8 seconds is the gap, and we'll just keep an eye on how that changes. If he can get it to under 2 seconds this lap, maybe he can have a go, but I do think that Pashik has more pace than Overspeed in general. St. Broth over a second down, so the strategy of saving up ERS and unleashing it all in one go has worked absolutely fantastically for Overspeed. And he has a bit of ERS left compared to Pashik. The gap is at 2 seconds now, and this does come down to, you know, who manages their tires better, who manages their ERS a little bit better as well. The Overspeed just getting a little bit greedy with those braking zones, running wide into Vale. He loses a bit of time, but too fast is that for Overspeed, and understandably so. This was a lap that he used up all of that ERS to try to pull away from St. Broth. That gap's already at almost 2 seconds between him and his Mercedes teammate. Overspeed loses a 10th in Sector 1, but he's closing in onto Pashik, and that is all that matters right now. St. Broth really falling back 2.5 seconds down on Overspeed now. Rikey's still 15 seconds down on a Persian King, who's making a decent comeback. He was down in last at one point, I do believe. Good stuff from him. Overspeed makes his way into Maggots and Beckett. 1.4 seconds is the gap between third and fourth in the battle for the final podium spot. And Overspeed is closing in by about half a second a lap. And next time round, you do have to think that he will be within that DRS range. And then is there any defense that Pashik might have? Saved a bit of ERS up, so Pashik has more than Overspeed still. Into turn 1. Again, we don't know how badly worn Pashik's tyres are. Make our way into village for the 20th time tonight. 1.1 seconds the gap from Pashik to Overspeed. St. Broth falling back, and you never know, there could be contact between these two, which might promote St. Broth one extra position up. Or as Overspeed, he does run really wide on the exit of a Luffield, trying to go for that double apex, but just running too wide on that initial apex. 1.1 second the gap between these two. If it wasn't for that mistake, Overspeed would already be having DRS as a massive snap on that back end through Cop's corner, and that might have just sent a shiver down Overspeed. You might have a couple of brown stains down in the southern department, if you know what I'm getting at. Overspeed, though, within that 1 second, he's used up all of his ERS now. The big thing for Overspeed is he needs to ensure that he gets the DRS on that start-finish straight, so that despite him not having ERS, he can stick within that gap. And it looks like he will be able to do it. You gain a lot of ERS under the braking points here at Silverstone, and Overspeed is within a striking distance, within that DRS range. As Silence picks up a 3-second time penalty. Down into village we go, and into the loop. Overspeed will be picking up the DRS. He won't be having a go this time round, but I assume that he's going to be looking for that same strategy that he did with St. Broth. Just sit behind Pashik, save up some ERS, and then in maybe 2-3 laps time, use it all up to get past and just break that 1 second gap. Been a decent race for Overspeed, starting from the back of the grid. He's had incidents as well, and he's still climbed up through the order pretty well, to be fair. But that being said, his overall pace, you know, when on the same tire compounds as Zoro and Blank, has been lower. And I think Zoro and Blank do deserve first and second. Zoro definitely deserves first. Maybe Depayne deserves second, but Depayne just a little bit too impatient with finding his opportunities to make a pass. ERS very even between these two drivers. Obviously, they have no way of knowing what the other's ERS state is like. But look at the gap that Overspeed has pulled out to St. Broth. Wow, 6.3 seconds in, what, four laps or so? It's been easily over a second a lap. And in fact, he's been closing the gap down to Blank. But that being said, I don't think Blank's pushing too hard, as Overspeed definitely is going sideways through Village. Overspeed still within that DRS range, as Pashik starting to find his pace once again, but might just be a little bit too, it might be a case of a bit too late, too little too late. Pardon me, I'm getting quite tired. I didn't get the most sleep last night, but might be a case of too little, too late for for Pashik to find this paces. You know, once the driver is within that DRS, it's harder to be able to break the DRS. Speed knocks up the ERS, and I think he is struggling to close it in onto Pashik. He gained a lot of time due to Pashik having some overheated mediums as we make our way into Stowe, and Overspeed. He's just overdoing it, pushing so hard. And, you know, this isn't the Overspeed that picked up a fast lap off the race. This isn't the Overspeed that pulled 7 seconds to St. Broth. You know, that Overspeed was being consistent, being smooth, putting in lap after lap. Well, this current Overspeed is overdriving the car, and it's going to cost him if he isn't careful. As we make our way down into Village, we've seen Overspeed going sideways, but Overspeed down the inside into Village. Sorry, into the loop, but Pashik will hold around the outside. Apologies for the camera angle. However, Overspeed will now be having a look down into Brooklyn. He's got practically no ERS available, but Overspeed will have a look regardless, side by side, as now Pashik has the inside through Luffield. We saw Pashik battling hard with a Blank, and now Overspeed wants to have some fun with the Ferrari driver as well. Pashik will hold on to the position, but Overspeed is right in this battle as we make our way through Cops. There are 3 and a bit laps remaining as zones. It's about Zoro is about to start lap 24 of 26, but we're focusing on this battle for third place. Overspeed once again has the DRS on Pashik. You can see a lap car up ahead. That's probably key as Overspeed. He goes down the inside. There's contact. And what did we say was going to happen between these two? There was going to be contact. Overspeed was going to overdo it, and he has gone sideways, and now St. Broth right back in this. And of course, this could affect their placements going into season 5 of ERS. Really just way too aggressive from Overspeed. Had to wait a little bit, and I do think Pashika left him room. And yeah, Overspeed just a bit too hard. All he had to do was sit behind, save up ERS like he did with St. Broth, but due to pushing too hard, he had to use up a lot of resources. That has severely cost him. And maybe now St. Broth could have a go at a 4th place, and with 2 and a bit laps remaining, I don't think Overspeed will be able to close Pashik back down. Overspeed is closing in just a little bit, but you know, this is the driving that he had to do when he was right on Pashik's tail, not when he's 2 seconds behind. You know, if you can find this pace now, when you're right behind the driver and you have DRS, it should not be an issue. Stay closer to them. Sure, 30 air plays a factor, but it's not that big, especially at the rate that Overspeed was closing in onto Pashik at. Onto the penultimate lap of the race. Overspeed will still be pushing for that third place. Still possible for Pashik to make a mistake, especially with the likes of Cops or Maggots and Beckett's run wide into Kane as well. 0.2 seconds, and Overspeed not really closing in by any significant amount. Gap kind of stabilized, just over 2 seconds between third and fourth, then just under 2 seconds between Overspeed and Saint Broth. Everyone else kind of just in no man's land. Persian King 6th, Raggy 7th, Silence 8th, and Key in 9th. Depane and Pemi both retiring. But up at the front, you can't fault Zorro for anything this race. He started on pole, he's driven cleanly. Maybe there was a bit of a push onto Depane through turn 1 of lap 1. But after that, he's just hasn't put a foot wrong. He hasn't given anyone else a chance to find a position on him. And he has just driven absolutely magnificently. Zorro makes his way through the loop on the final lap of the race. Not really much that can go wrong for him now. Even with a spin, he's 9 seconds up on a blank as we make our way down into Brooklands. We're down into second for Luffield, although Zorro prefers to hold it in third. Maybe just to manage those tyres a little bit better. Overspeed is 1.5 seconds down on Pashik, and actually he might be able to have a little go as Pashik may have disconnected. Just keep an eye on that gap as Zorro makes his way through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel onto the back straight. Just 3 corners remaining until he will pick up the win. So now just Vale and Club Corner that are left. Down into Vale, second gear. Short shift up into third. And through Club Corner, Zorro will take the win. As Overspeed too far back on Pashik. He closed him up after Pashik had a bit of a disconnect. But Overspeed will have to settle for 4th place. We'll have to see how penalties do apply. 2 more laps might have been enough for Overspeed to claim 3rd place or pick up 3rd place. But Pashik will take 3rd. Overspeed will take 3rd after penalties. What about Saint Broth? Too far behind to take an advantage from the penalty. Persian King will come around as well. He'll pick up the 6th place. And now we await the McLaren of Raggy and then Silence. Key has already been lapped. Not much happened before Raggy. He had front wing damage after lap 3, I think, a spin or something. Was then forced onto the 2-stop strategy. If it wasn't for that, he probably would have picked up a 6th. Maybe could have been a bit close. Would have been closer to Saint Broth than to Persian King, but a shame for him nonetheless. Silence will come around as well as your final driver on track to take 8th position. But there you have it. Not too much more to say as Zorro picks up the win for Williams. But that is the end of the test race. Thank you everyone very much for tuning in. The final result, Zorro takes the win ahead of Blank and Overspeed, who jumps ahead of Pashik, who has a 3-second time penalty. Saint Broth takes 5th, with Persian King in 6th, ahead of Raggy in 7th. The Silence takes 8th, with Key in 9th, with Depane and Pemi DNFing. So yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. This was the ERS Tier 3 race at Silverstone. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the ERS website where you can find information such as joining the Discord and more, and finding them on Twitter as well. And make sure you stay in the loop like that. But that's all that we have a time for. Thank you very much for tuning in. And until next time, guys, stay fast and good night.